So welcome. I would suggest that even though we have a jug of water, and even though we'll be using it for some ritual tonight, you might end up drinking a lot of it. I know I'm going to. And because we're talking about water, it's probably a good idea to make sure you have a drink, because some of us might like dry right up. So I'm going to light my smudge and get connected, and we'll get started here and begin. And some of you may feel some energy going into this class. You might feel it in your gut, up into your chest. If you do, that's good. Oh, doesn't it finally feel like spring is coming? Oh. So you'll all get a copy of this. So you don't have to take notes unless you want to. Wow, my smudge is going good. So I'll just show you. It's nice and wide. So there's no negative energies. That's awesome. Then let's get started. I don't even know where to put this. We'll put it there. Okay, so welcome. So in the Sacred Circle training, we all connected to the element of water. And tonight we're going to take that magic further. And I can't wait to share with you the power of water. And to me, it is probably one of the most powerful influences I use on a daily basis. So water is an element that represents change. And it represents mutability. So water is so magical because we can work with consciousness with it. We use water for purification. And we use it to connect to our subconscious mind. So we can connect to our higher selves with the power of water. We can also connect to love. And we can connect to emotions. But water represents the past. So whenever we tap into the power of water, we are using the direction of the West. And so for us to work with the West, we should face it. However, when I do mediumship or when I'm connecting to spirit and doing readings, I like to have my back to the West, because for me, I feel things coming on this way. So whenever I communicate or whenever spirit comes around me, it's from the back. And so for me, if I sit here and spirit wants to give me information, I can feel it coming on. And it's a security mechanism for me. So I want to get into the power of the West and water. I don't even know where to begin because there's so much information for it. And it's because it is so powerful. But what I love about it is, to me, I'm probably going to sound crazy. To me, water is my god and goddess. And I think that's why I live by the sea, because I believe in it and I've had personal experiences with it. And water is actually an element that absorbs. And because it is connected to the past, we can use the water element to connect to our ancestors. We can connect to people we love that are past. We can also connect to a major healing power. But water calls us because water is the magic of emotion, but also trauma and healing. And so whenever we have experienced trauma, which we all have, mentally, emotionally, physically, whatever, spiritually, that is a call to the water. The water is calling you. And so on our path as healers, we use the path of water to cleanse. And when we cast the circle, we say, water, the soul's refined. Because we can change and purify our spirit, our mind. And for me, I came from a place where I was put into trauma very young. And when I was older and on my own path, because I left home at 14, and when I left to live on my own, this medicine man came to me and told me, you will not heal if you don't drink water. And he told me that if you can't drink water, it's because you're stuck in trauma. And that hit me hard because he didn't know anything about me. And then from my path, I learned that most of the people that I worked with, especially women who had any type of sexual abuse or verbal abuse or mental abuse or anything that was traumatic, have trouble drinking water, or they don't like to swim in it. And, you know, I wasn't raised in a house where my parents would feed me water. Okay? It was like, fend for yourself as soon as you could walk. But, so I never had the upbringing of having 8 glasses of water a day, right? But for me, I couldn't drink water. Alcohol was my water. So bad to say that, but that was only one crazy year, but whatever. But pop, juice, I never drank water. And when I did, it felt like I couldn't swallow it. And that medicine man told me that I was going to be healed when I could drink water. And from that day, my path actually started to change. So water can connect to our higher self. There's no barriers. Our higher self isn't flesh and bone and brain. Our higher self is the same as water. They move, they vibrate. So water represents the power of absorption. And I realized that I kept myself in a state of dehydration. And think about this. Think about your day, okay? Think about having the day where it's really emotional or really shitty and you don't drink water. How is that going to flush out of your system? And so I'll still go into my place where I'll starve myself from water. And even though my guidance is, Georgina, drink water, I'll ignore it because I'll still play with where I'll go if I let myself not drink water. The other thing that I realized is that I could change the way I felt in the atmosphere in certain situations that I was in because of the power of water. Water is based on pure emotion, but it travels like energy. It's in every atom. And it is part of who we are. We're 65% water, or probably more. I don't know exactly how many. I should look that up before I started. But we are like 65%. Don't quote me on that or take it for grain. You can Google it. Water. But our light bodies, we have 12 light bodies. So we're more light beings, is all electromagnetic energy. And that electromagnetic energy carries water. So when we use our intentions, and when we focus on the power of healing that the water element represents, we can have amazing healing powers. So water calls us through bad memories, or through emotional triggers or stressful triggers. And it's because those triggers have been triggering us somehow in our world. Now think about that. We carry certain things, and those energies out in the world can find us. And I always believed that if a trigger from my past came up, it was to go. And it works for me. So every time I get a trigger from my past, I'll give it a message. And I send it to the universe. Because I understand how the negative world and the mundane world and the mental world works. And just like as above, so below. If a trigger comes through and I allow it and I don't do anything about it, I'm the source of that energy. And in magic, we know that. We know that which we call and want. So does the universe want us to bring that in. Because we're amazing beings and we want good things. The things we don't want are the crap that somebody usually creates, whether it's ourselves or other people. So in magic, we are empathic beings or channels. And that's the one thing that always bothered me, is that empaths understand feelings, but they don't understand that their path is to channel that into a healing state and send it out, not take it on. And that's the same we learn with communicating with spirit. If you want to communicate with spirit, whether they're higher forces or family members, it's important for you to be in a state where you're cleansed, where you can get to that. And I get questions, like I got this one question once, and it was, well, how come our ancestors allow negative things to happen? As if they're just sitting there watching us go through the shit. But they don't. When we are in an elevated state, we can communicate. When we are in a state that is below our natural being, we're invisible to the spirit world. So the brighter our light, the more power we're going to have. And we all get into those places where we go into our place of healing. We have to honor that too. We can't all be like this bright light bulb all the time. But our emotions are very powerful, and water magic represents honoring what we're experiencing. There's nothing to be ashamed of. But it's the call. And so if we are being triggered by the past, we're meant to heal it. And, you know, this is something that is important for you to connect to, but you're going to have people that the universe knows you are meant to have a conversation with. We all talk about people that go through emotional changes. And as soon as we're misaligned to ourselves, something shitty can happen, you know, that people experience trauma. And so the water element is actually very healing. And it wants to keep us refreshed as we walk forward into our path. But it has that call. So we're either in a place of balance and neutral. That means you don't have to be, you know, joy and sunshine all day long. But if you're in a neutral state, or if you can see both sides to a situation, the positive and the negative, then you know you're in a neutral state. You're okay. So the water element will pull people into a place of despair if we're not connected to it, or if we're not flushing out our system and drinking our water every day. Water element, when we are connected to it, when we go to the beach and relax, is so healing because it cleanses our auric body right away. Within 3 minutes, our entire auric structure goes into a place of balance. You don't need a 1-hour chakra healing. Go to the beach. And you know, the thing is that all water carries a spirit. Even your tap water. So when we use the water magic, we definitely use it for healing. We use it for trauma. But we also use it for guidance and wisdom to help us bring the pleasure and the foundations and the family connections that we want. Because the water element also represents your family. Everyone you carry in your heart. Your heartstrings. And we use water, and we're going to do this magic soon, but we use water, and when we use water, you have to think of it as activating a spirit, a dragon. So even while you're taking this course, take note on how the atmosphere feels, just the air. Are you warm? Are you cold? And let's see where you go. So we can activate the water dragon. And all elements are dragons. If you look at every single culture, they all have a water dragon. And they all have different names. And to me, water dragons are the ones that will get our attention. But they're the ones that we're going to learn how to call tonight. So if we want to heal ourselves, we can use water on so many different levels because water is programmable. We can carry it in our structure, in our crystalline structure, in our atoms, everything. But to me, when I started to do magic, I connected with this dragon. And I want to share with you his name. And his name is Nailyon. Nailyon. So it's actually Naelyon. Naelyon. But it's spelt like nail, like a nail that you hit with a hammer, and yawn. And this dragon is associated and connected to higher powers and our underworld elemental powers. But this dragon energy and the water call and the water magic, when it's around us, it's cool and damp. And that's why I want you to pay attention to how you feel while we're in this class, because if all of a sudden you start to feel a little bit of a chill in the air, then you know the dragons come around. And even when you go to the lake or the ocean, if you stand at the shore and you feel that chill come around, You know that there's water, there's magic there. We're there for a reason. So always pay attention to the atmosphere you feel whenever you're around water. The dragon's energy is a cool mist. And so when we do readings, or when we connect to our ancient ones, or whenever we want to connect to our psychic abilities, and of course, it's always better when the room is darker. You've heard about the mist. Well, that mist is the dragon energy. And so we receive a psychic mist. Dragons like to create energy. And when we receive a cool mist, whenever we're around water, or if we're standing towards the west or facing it or not, or the back, but you feel that cooling energy come, there is psychic information around you. So pay attention. What comes next? Where are you? Who are you with? What is the purpose? The dragon will also come around us. The element of water will come around us whenever we are getting into an emotional state, especially if we're witches. So if you can do any of the stuff that we do tonight, I guarantee you, when you get into emotional state, you feel that there is an extra power around. Holy cow, my cheeks ever red. Sorry. So whenever you feel that, tap in. And when the dragon comes around, it's because it wants to soothe you. Water energy comes not to bring things to the surface, but to soothe it, to squeeze it out of you, to cleanse you, purify you. And the thing is they will not work or care about anyone you don't carry in your heart. So guess what happens when we're pissed off and emotionally upset? How many people fear being angry at people because you don't want anything to happen? I mean, as a kid, that was a big deal for me. I kind of felt like something would happen if I thought bad. Well, it's because we have dragon energy around us and all of nature. And dragon energy is known as untamed energy in its natural state. So whenever we can put intention into our water, and the more powerful we are in the state of being when we're doing it, the larger the dragon. The larger that travel you receive. So whenever we feel the room change temperature, that represents water magic. When we're doing readings for people and all of a sudden you get all cold, that is someone from the past coming forward. Coldness is female. Warmth is male. Unless we put our own intention and energy into it. So for me, I keep my house at 20 degrees. That's it. I know it when it's there. And if I have a cold day, I know I'm communicating. If I'm hot, I know there's a male around. Where are my instincts? When male comes forward, we have to use our instincts, because male spirit is showing you you're triggered. Your instincts are working on something. Oops, sorry. I think I pushed a button on my keyboard. I don't know what that means. The other thing, so the rooms changed with water magic. It's atmosphere. And when that hit me, I realized that I could change the atmosphere in the room. Whenever I'm in business meetings, whenever I bought a house, I would use it. And it worked. And I want you to try that. If you're sitting in front of a dick, make that dick happy and turn it into your favor. Okay? And I really didn't mean it like that, but it did sound in so many different ways, right? It's like universal language can have some comedy too. Oh, geez, that was not me. That came from the West. So, always pay attention to your room. And when we feel the hot or the cold, it's always someone connected to your heart. So you never have to be worried that it is something you should not tap into. Okay? It means that there is guidance, there's healing, there's strength, they're working for you, they're trying to give you blessings, our help is always around. But water represents change. So whenever we go through a change or whenever we want to change, right? Or whenever we're focusing on our 3-year plan, that's change. We have that help and support. We're never alone in that. We're never alone in our emotions. And you know, that is the one thing that I realized big time. And I feel like that's how my life changed. Because when I was so young and stuck in a certain state, I was in trauma, right? I was in a security state from 2 to 14. And my first situation was a woman that came to me. And at first I thought she was an angel. But she came to me more than one time, and I know it was a goddess. And to me, it was my connection to Hecate, who is the goddess of people who are in a bad situation. And when she came to me that first time where I thought I was going to die, she told me, "You're going to be okay." And she showed up, and I was not asleep. I was sitting in my room, scared in the dark, and she appeared. And so I've learned so much from that, including that she is connected to the water. So if anyone likes mermaids, that is a goddess symbol. If you like the ocean, you're connected to the gods and the goddess. And for me, I believe that the water of the world is consciousness. And I live by the sea, and I can see, I'm clairvoyant. I can see energies. And there are times where I can see the clouds drinking the water. And I've lived here this is my 6th year. And I realized that whenever the clouds were drinking the water, there was good energy in those days. And so whenever the energy is gray and it's like raining and you got that mist, those are days where we don't want to practice magic, because the universe and the water element is purifying the earth. And so that means that I know I'm going into a purified state. So I'll smudge or I'll turn on music. And so I want to get into the different waters as well. So it's important for you, if you feel you're an empath, or if you feel you're connected to spirit, that you start drinking your water. 8 glasses. And start flushing your system. And if you get into a state where you have, you know, some of you have seen where my hair is like crazy, and it just like, I come in all nice like this, and then by the end of class, I'm like that. Yeah, If we have static electricity, we have to drink water. Okay? And if you have, like I do, trouble with electronics, you need to make sure you drink more water. Okay? Those are all signs that you need more water. And so water is something that we go to when we need to heal anything, body, mind, and spirit. Okay? We can create peaceful water. We can create cleansing water, all kinds of stuff. So I want to go into a little bit of the sacredness of water, because water is the power that cleanses the earth. And so a lot of us believe that if we need healing, we're healing the earth as well, because we're channeling that. And when we perform our magic, we always get rid of the crap we don't want, the things we don't like seeing in our world, the COVID and all of this stuff. So we use water magic to cleanse the earth every time we give it as an offering, or every time we visit it. So I want to teach you about this most powerful force of the universe. So first, I want to get into a little bit of the properties of it. So first off, the triangle upside down is the symbol for water in witchcraft. It represents the West. So whenever we want to communicate or send love to someone that's passed, we can use the West. And it represents all of water. It represents the rain. It represents the oceans. It represents the dewdrops. Dewdrops are so magical. Rivers, creeks, ponds, lakes, waterfalls. And of course, we know that it represents the zodiac signs of Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio. But water also represents the moon. And I feel like that's how I ended up here, because moon magic is a big thing for me in my life. And I've been able to experience growth because I have an energy that I feel like I can tap into for support. And I understand the moon cycle so I can work with it. So water represents moon and moon magic. And that's why so many people will make moon water, which we'll get into later. But it also represents Venus, which is the goddess of love. Now, in the ceremony, you hear us and we bless our water, and traditionally it's water, but people use whatever they want in the ceremony. And we say, we bless this water or these drinks so that we all never thirst. Well, there was a time where I was going through my water magic, and I was learning about it. And it was very traumatic for me because I was doing inner child healing, which happens through water. And I was honoring and going through a period of cleansing. And so some of you know that I'm half Native. So we believe in the spirit of water as something that is very sacred and healing. So I was on a water purification and water pathway. And when I did that, and I asked the gods and the goddesses for help in my magic and in my healing, I knew I connected to the spirit of water when I had an experience. And I know I'm going to sound freaking crazy again. I don't know how do I say this, but I did have an experience with Poseidon. He came to me and he showed me how to make sea salt. And he showed me how to not only make it, but he also showed me how to use it in my magic. And so I implement that in the earth magic. So you'll learn how to do that in earth magic, and some of you have already done that. But he came from the ocean. And that's when I honestly believed that the water is a portal of power for the gods and the higher powers. And he changed my life. And I actually have a sea salt company that I still make salt and sell it today. And I know that was a sacred gift. So water communicates with us. And we're going to do that tonight. I want to open up your pathway to water because it has a sound. It opens up our clairvoyance and we can hear. I experienced elemental summer solstice, whatever the fairies are doing, by a creek. Water will carry sound and messages. You will hear it in words or in whistles or in music. And I want to do that tonight. But whenever we talk about water or tap into it, we're using it for purification of our emotions. Maybe we're not emotional enough. You know, maybe we need to tap more into and honor our feminine side. We would use water. It also will help us improve our intuitions. So just having a glass of water on our desk when we're doing intuitive or creative work will bring you the power of the spirit. We can put water by our bed and have dreams. And all we have to do is put a circle above the glass of water 3 times, clockwise, and then go to sleep. And then pay attention to what dreams you get. So we can use water to receive dreams of things we want to know about, to activate love, to draw love, to heal a broken heart. We can use water for rebirth and renewal. So whenever I need a change of path, and if I get into a place in my life and I'm like, I want a different path, I call it. I don't put up with stuff. I don't believe in it. I believe in the lessons, and I believe that when we align, we can flow with it. So I use water magic when I want to change my path, and if my path will change, then I know I was falling for illusion. If it doesn't change, then I got something to learn. So the water element teaches us how to understand the spirit world. It helps us connect to our ancestors. Anything that's in our bloodline, we can connect to, and to the spirit realm. But we will not be connecting to angels. They're earthly beings when we call the water. Not saying that our loved ones aren't angels, because they are, and their spirits are higher beings. But as we call them and know them in our life, okay? The same thing with water animals. It's super important for you to see what comes around you. Seagulls are one of the most powerful. So many people think they're like a pain, but they're not. Seagulls represent the goddess energy. And whenever you go somewhere and seagulls come, take a look at how they're flying. Because if you see a spiral, she's letting you know that she's creating something for you. That there is a blessing coming your way directly from her. Other seabirds do represent the water animal or the water element. Turtles, of course, and fish, whales, dolphins, crabs. Seafood is also represent water element, so it is good to eat seafood. And I'm a prairie girl. I never had it. I didn't like the smell of it. And then Brett was from the West Coast and changed my life. Now I love it. Our magical tools for the West and water represent the chalice. You can use any chalice. This one was actually made by a student in Saskatchewan. I love it. But our chalice can be anything that holds water. It can be your grandmother's teacup. It can be your favorite mug. But you should have a sacred vessel that will hold magic. A wine glass. Anything. The cauldron is also a tool. We use it for the tool of the earth mostly, but it represents water because of the inside. And we will use it. We'll fill this up with water and scry. This is better than crystal ball. Because we are scrying from the goddess's belly. What she is creating with us and into this world. So the chalice, the cauldron, as well as the scrying mirror. The other thing is we talked about the dragons. We also talked, there's other spirits that I'm going to get into later. And some foods. So lettuce represents water. So eat the salads. Oh, I've been craving salads. It's like I could have a salad every lunch. Blue lotus, water lily. I like to use hibiscus for water. It's a good one. Seaweed, of course, but I don't like the smell of it. Aloe vera is a great plant and represents water. And you should have a plant in your home because your home, however that plant is reacting, lets you know what type of energy you have in your home. So some of the things that we can do for water magic is ritual baths and bath spells. We can make teas. We can make elixirs with stones. Actually, maybe we should do that ritual now. Let's do one so we can kind of break it up a bit. Otherwise, it's just going to be a lot of me talking, which isn't bad. But let's see. So the past. So, okay, first, you have a jug of water, some water with you in a cup. So let's pour some water in it. And you want to make sure that you can touch the water too. So fill it up with the water. Not too high, just halfway or whatever. And we're going to put a candle in it in a little while. But first, I want you to grab your water and just have your hands around it for a few minutes and connect to it. And as you're connecting to it, I just want you to realize that whenever something from the past comes up, it's the Western water. Whenever you are fearing something or you're worried about something, that is a call that water wants to help you. And that's why baths are so magical. So water calls. Make sure you have a glass of water if something from your past is triggering you or if your emotions aren't there. But because water is so powerful, it's also it transforms. And I'm going to post a video, and I've posted it a few times, of this doctor who did a study on water, and it shows the molecular structure of water. And if you hold this water and feed it love, every atom of that water goes into a snowflake. It looks as beautiful as a snowflake. And if you feed it hate, it will go into like this drop with no snowflake structure. And when I watched that video and learned about this, it changed my life. Because I realized that I don't have to fear anybody again. Once I learned that I can change the structure to love and positivity and to the things that I want to feel, I knew I could feel that I could forward that to anybody I wanted. And so if I'm fearing somebody, I can change that person's structure. He's 65% water. I know how to change the structure of water. So I learned that I don't need to fear anybody. But you have to practice and learn how to change the structure. And once I realized that, the most powerful structure is when you say thank you. You should see what it does. So when I'm in the bath, I make sure that bath, I'm saying thank you. Thank you for cleansing me. When you're draining the tub, take over my excess weight, take over my pain, take it away, drain it away. That's what water is used for, to get rid of anything we don't like. And if you can't bath, drink it, or go swimming in it, or go sitting by it. Okay? So whenever it's around us, our molecular structure is already reacting. But we normally react to the atmosphere or the place or the emotion that's around us. But see, I'm in a place where I only want positivity. I don't want to deal with bullshit in my life. I want my life to become simple. You know, that's my freedom. So I hold my structure. I do live in my bubble. I understand that I can hold whatever I want in my structure. If I want a feeling from my husband, I can just hold that in my being and watch it become. If I have a back problem, I will focus on that all day long. And I will change the structure. We have to practice these things. No matter what, whenever we feel something negative, we have to change it. We have to suck it up like a buttercup and change it. So I just try to do it as fast as I freaking can, right? Like, okay, you don't need to feel that way. So whenever I deal with anything negative, I know it's mental and I know that I can change it just by focusing on how I want to feel or what the room should feel or the solution. But I also collect water. And keep holding your glasses. I know I'm yapping away, but it is doing something. The other thing that is, so fear will call us to use the water. Fear will call us. If we have worry, we can get solutions just by asking for the water to bring us the solution. And when the solution comes, it's not just the water that brings it to you, it's your ancestors, it's the people that love you. I make sure I charge my water and ask my grandpa to help me and come to me when I go to the casino. It works every time. So tears are also magic. Tears are something that people have collected for years for magic. They use it for magic. Or when trauma triggers, we can use the water to heal it. And it's not just about drinking water, it's about the different waters that we can do and the medicines we can. So water is our magical medicine. It is the portal of power. And those triggers are what is to come into the world. So how do we want that trigger to become? Well, I dealt with this bullshit. I deserve the lottery. You know, who cares what it is? Use your imagination, but you're opening the door to blessings. and you're blessing the planet. So everything is connected to water. We can communicate to a spirit of somebody we know who's alive and lives in BC and tell them to call us. And that's the power of the water. So water has consciousness. That ocean outside my door has consciousness. And I can tell by the way the waves sound or the wind blows upon it, what type of energy is happening. So we use this because we create a consciousness with our power of water. We create the consciousness and the power that we want. I can program this water and drink it every day, programming it to give me my healthiest body. And then if I do that, and when I do that, I would take note on how long it takes, because water can heal our bodies. And every 7 years, our body's been regenerated. So drink your water. So water is programmable. We will program a crystal and tell the crystal what we want, and then we'll put it into the water and make an elixir. So when we use crystals and gemstones in our water, one thing you want to do is rub it really quick. Because when you rub the stone, the energy is like, whoa, it's like us going into trauma states. Yeah, that's what we're doing to the stone. We're heightening it. And then we put this stone in the water. And as it goes back to its natural state, all that medicine is in the water. And in my culture, the first thing people do, the first thing they do is they will give you a water. They make you drink water before you get smudged, before you get your any type of healing. They always make you have a glass of water, the medicine people that I've worked with. We give people water before and after healings, and it's not just for the flow. So we can program water and drink it. So if you do have a quartz crystal or an amethyst or a citrine, try making water and drinking it for a month. Put that amethyst in there and then hold that jug and just think, thank you. Heal my body, cleanse my husband, whatever you want, put it into the water. Nobody would drink, negative water. So of course you're going to implement that power. Even when you're drinking city water, say thank you, change the structure of it. So water is a portal of power on many different levels. And we can program it, whether we're drinking it or using it in a room or communicating with spirit or trying to get a hold of someone on the other side of the country and the cell phone is out, whatever. But we can also use it to learn how to connect to the divine. We can connect to water and their spirit. And every water spirit is connected to a god and a goddess. So are we. We are part of it. So let's go into the spirits of water a little bit. Okay. So, and of course, this is stuff that I find is connected. There's so much more. This is just a small general, idea of water magic. But you have to know that water is constant and it always changes. It exists in all forms. We can use water in its solid form in ice and chill people out. A lot of times if I'm like so done with someone, why should I even, okay. Okay, so anytime I'm like so done with someone and they're driving me nuts, I'll just write their name on a piece of paper and stick it in the ice cube tray and fill it up and stick it in my freezer. And I know I get a break. They're chilling out. And when I feel like, okay, good, and I'm reminded that their name is in my freezer, I will let it go onto the earth and melt it. So we can chill energies out and protect ourselves, okay? So you try it. At first I started doing Ziploc bags, and I'd fill it up halfway. I'd put their name in there. I'd add some herbs and some stones. So you can do that, right? But now it's just name, pop it in, fill it up, get it in there. That works well. Okay. So ice is something that we can use to chill things out. It actually does help. Or if we need a break from something. We also have the liquid that we can use. And in the magic, we activated it in the sacred circle quite a bit. So let's do that now, because I want to get into communicating with it soon. So maybe we should charge it now. I forgot you guys were all holding it. I'm a ditz. No thinking with water. So hold your water. And I want you to focus on your left hand. And you want to be able to tell and feel its presence. So for me, when I'm holding my cup of water is cold. But when I put my left hand over my water, it's warm. And then do the same with your right hand. Feel it. Go over the water. Wow, that one's really warm. And so because I know that my water is warm, I know that there is a masculine energy connected to me. If you can feel a change of temperature above the water and to the cup, you know that there's already a connection to your water. And if you don't, it doesn't matter, because we're doing this charge anyway. So after we do this charge, I want you to use your right hand and your two hands, and I want you to dip your fingers into the water and then put it into your palm. And then dip your fingers and then put it on your third eye, but not yet. We'll do it after the charge. And then use your left hand, dip it, and put it in your right. So we'll do it together. Just watch me, but I just wanted to warn you ahead of time that that's what we're going to do. Okay, are you ready? So you're holding your water now. And we're focusing on the spirit and the energy around you. So I usually take note on where I can feel the air. And repeat after me. Water spirit all around. I call you to cast my spell. I open my hands, no longer bound. To give and receive, I hold this water. Family and love. Protect me from above. Cleanse my path from the past. The power of Goddess, transform me at last. Heighten my intuition. Activate my healing hands. And when I focus on my dreams coming true, I know the guidance comes from you. Heal me. Cleanse me. Wash it all away. And all that does not serve my purpose, it's banished. All blockages replaced by the magic of the water, moon, and fae. So I want you to breathe into it 3 times. See if you get any ripples. Awesome. And let's anoint our hands. Wow, my water felt a lot colder than the air above it. So we're anointing our palm. Take note on how it feels. And when you put your fingers in again, the temperature is going to be different. It might be colder or warmer. And then do your third eye. Oh, it's so good. I love that feeling. And we're going to change hands, but before you do, feel your water on the fingers. Is it smooth? Or is it sticky? Both are spirited. Take your left hand and anoint your right. And then just hold yourself. I have both of my hands open. Oh, you should be able to feel the energy above the water. Sometimes it feels like the water could be bubbling or moving or cold, or almost like the spirit is blowing on it. Maybe you feel a heartbeat or a vibration or warmth. Pay attention to your third eye. A lot of times it'll almost be like a light flickering. Like your third eye doesn't know how to close its eyes in a way, or your eyes are connected to your third eye. Pay attention to that. Take note of your right hand. Let the water connect to you. You might feel it like it's almost going into your hands, or heavier, almost like a more magnetic. You even raise your hand up and down for a minute. And as you do that, think about something you want. Think about something that would bring you joy. What is it? What is your freedom thing that would just pop into your head right now? So water is super easy to work with because it will become. You can tell it what to become, you can drink it, and it becomes. But it's also really cool when you can keep taking note on how you're feeling and connecting it. We're not finished with our waters yet. But it's super easy to use water, especially in teas, is huge. What I do is every day I wake up, I put a pot of water on and I choose the herbs or oils and I just balm my house. I love it. But I also make tea. Tea is very magical to me. And it's very ancient. And it's the water in the tea that's magical too, not just the herbs. When we do tea leaf readings, it's the water as well. It's the consciousness of the water coming alive. And so a lot of times I will draw that triangle, the upside down triangle, which is a symbol of water on certain things, especially if I want my tea to be a healing tea. And we can ask yes and no questions. So I'm kind of getting off topic, but when you make your tea, ask a question when you're filling your kettle. And then turn on your kettle. It's got to be a whistling kettle. I mean, whistling kettles are the magical ones. But if you have your yes or no question and you ask a question and it starts to boil, if the whistle is broken up, it's a no. But if it's a long, steady whistle, that's a yes. So we can find out certain answers And so play with that and see what you get. Let's grab our candle. And so candles for magic, you can use blue, white, teal. So you want to hold your candle. And we're just going to do the charge for the west. So hold your candle in your left hand. And repeat after me. I, Georgina, your name, daughter of the Shining One, raise the creature of water to bring forth the love and intuition of our ancestors. West we open, the gates swing wide. We seek the answers that lie inside. So now I want you to think, put the candle in your right hand, and I want you to think about something that you either want to attract or something you need to get rid of. Because with water magic, we can do both. You don't have to wait for the moon phases, even though they will still influence our water. So charge that candle. Once you feel a heartbeat, a vibration, warmth, then you know that there's energy in that candle. We're going to light it up and stand it in our water. So I will do this. I like to do the candle in the water whenever I'm doing healing work or whenever I need to cleanse a place. If a place is too stressful, then I'll do that. And I let the water snuff it out. So there's a lot of power in that. And when the candle is snuffed out from the water, I take a look and I see if there's any droplets of water or what has happened to the candle. So I'll do a little bit of a wax divination. And sometimes you'll get a symbol from the candle. And I'll use that symbol. So if I look at it and I see something that's like an important symbol, then I'll carry it with me until it breaks apart and crumbles in my pocket. So we're going to let that go and light up and keep going. So let's talk about creeks and streams, because you can collect a little bottle of water. You can collect water and use it in your magic. So say you need to purify, or you just want like that peaceful home. The home's a little noisy and there's always something going on. It's hard to get everything to that harmonious state. So if you want purification, if you want harmony or cleansing, gather water from the creeks or a stream and just put a glass of it in your home. It will take, it doesn't take long for the water to change the atmosphere. I would just leave it overnight and it will feel different. Okay. Dew in certain ceremonies that we've done around certain Sabbats, we will collect or have a taste of dew. And dew represents good health. And it was traditional in the ancient days that the first days where the dew would come, they would drink so that they would have good health. It also is known to help improve eyesight, but magically it's used for beauty. So I will go out in my yard. I have lots of rose bushes and alder. So I will I put the leaves right on my face. It feels so good around the eyes. Oh my gosh. It is also very powerful if you gather it on Beltane, which is May 1st. So that is the day you want that immortal beauty. which you already have. You don't need any of that. But if you just want to feel a little bit, get it on there. It's beautiful. Feels good. Whenever there is a fog or a mist in the air, it represents balance. But it also means that some kind of partnership or some kind of relationship is in play. So it means that you're meant to connect and spend time together or get into a balanced state. But it is also a time that calls us to create. So whenever it's foggy and misty, I know that I can tap into the guidance to create something that will be beneficial for me, whether it's a piece of art or something that I want to make or an idea to make and sell. So fog and mists, use that as a sacred time to let yourself create something. Ice is very transformative. So whenever we want something to be transformed or in our favor, we can write it on a piece of paper and freeze it. It will also bring balance to people and situations. Okay? If anyone is a hothead or if they have anger issues, ice is the way to go. Ice and amethyst ice is one of my favorite things to use to break addiction. So even if I get into a place where I have a mental habit, and it's, sometimes I'll pick up things on spirits too. It's not always my fault, but sometimes you get into these habits, right? Or you're thinking something and you can't slow down. Ice will bring balance to that. So put ice in your drink. It will help slow down your mind. Or you can put citrine ice. Is so good for your mind. Oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite things. So citrine water, okay, those things, and make ice out of them too, and try that. Whenever we are by a pond or a lake, the energy is going to create self-reflection. And so ponds and lakes will activate things that are important for you so that you can take a look at the things and who you are and make sure it's aligned. So ponds and lakes will also bring us to a peaceful state. So if we're in a place where we're not getting peace, go sit by a pond or a lake. The spirit of the water is going to relax you, but also bring you some self-reflection. And it's always positive, okay, with solutions. You don't have to worry about going to the lake and you're all stressed out, to get something that is going to stress you out even more. It's healing. So it's always beneficial. Rainwater means that there is cleansing, but it also represents not only purification, but there's a protection that's happening. And so when the water is raining, I know that I am thankful that it is cleansing the whole place, everybody around me. And so I honor that. I understand that Mother Nature needs to cleanse the earth. And pay attention to the day it rains or the day before. And you will see certain correspondences that happen with the energy of the earth. So the first rain that falls in the month of May is the most sacred water for a witch. So collect the first rain of May, okay? And use that, pour it into your bath, drink some of it, however you want to use it, implement it into your life, because it will give you a magical energy. It will protect and cleanse you. River water helps us move forward. And so the river water is always flowing. It's always cleansing. And it's always moving forward. And river water is something that I like to use when I feel like I'm hitting a block, or if I feel like I'm stuck on the past, or if I have someone coming over that isn't moving forward the way I want them, like my son, I'll make something with river water, or I'll have it sitting there with a little flower in it. He doesn't even know it's there, but I know it's like getting into his system. So we can use river water in a vase with flowers and nobody knows, right? Or just in a cup. If I'm visiting with someone and they come to me for healing, I always have a glass of water with either a stone or herb in it. And it's always working. Okay? So river water moves us forward. You feel stuck? Use river water. Drink it. Put it in your bath. Ask for it to move forward in your magic. Pour it outside. Seawater is magical because it represents the manifestation of goals. And that's why it is so magical. Because if you boil seawater, you're going to make salt. And there's a belief that states that a spoonful of seawater will ensure a long and healthy life. And during I believe it's the winter solstice, Yule, when we do the seawater in our mouth, or the foam. So seawater has magical power and is good for manifesting your goals. And we can just have that sitting in the house after we charge it and tell it what our goals are. So remember, you need to have a communication. You need to tell the water what it is that you want. And then you want to make sure that you're open to receiving that, right? If you tell the water what you want and all of a sudden you turn bitchy half an hour later and you're in the same room, that water is going to have some of that bitchiness. So water is a consciousness, and it becomes what you are. So snow is also used for transformation and balance. And in some of the classes in the winter, we had you bring some snow into the house so that you could experience that change and that renewal. Spring water, so that's going into spring water is known as a holy water. Of course, not the bottled, but even though we use a lot of bottled water, it is spring water, but there is plastic in it scientifically. But spring water is known as holy water. So in some recipes, you can make your own holy water, which is a salt water, and I'll get into that. Or you can go to a spring and it's just as holy. But spring water is used to attract growth and prosperity. And that's why most springs have moss around it. Moss is something that attracts prosperity. And it's connected to the money nature spirits. Now we can use wastewater or swamp water or dirty water for banishing and binding. So if you want to banish something that is horrible, use wastewater. And a lot of people will, even when they pee, focus on the shit they want out, or the other way around, shit, or whatever. So you can, as you're peeing, you can focus on your health being happy and all of your toxins coming out. And remember, you're at 65% water or more, so it will happen. Waterfalls are for power. So anytime you need more power, or say you need more energy, gather water from a waterfall and have a bath in it. And you can collect these waters and keep them in the fridge. My fridge is so embarrassing. There's so many times that someone would open my fridge and just like ask me, why do you have so many bottles? Like, what is it? And some of them have herbs and they're funny colors. And it's like, no, it's not pee. But But I get a lot of comments on some of the bottles of water in my fridge because I use them at different times. So anytime you need power or energy, go to a waterfall, collect the water, drink the water. And any of you that are on well water represents wishes and it activates our intuition. So that's pretty good. And if you have well water, you also don't have to worry about any calcification or whatever people worry about. So well water is something that will grant wishes, but also heighten your intuition when you drink it. So water witches also have an attachment to the surroundings around water as well. Beaches are awesome because it will help us get into a meditative state. And you'll find that when you go to the beach, as soon as you listen to the water and you hear nothing else, you know that you're in that alpha state. So you can tell the universe, communicate with it with what you want or what you want to know. Harbors are used to promote abundance. So we can actually go visit the harbor, and I got one here in St. Martin's where I live, so I go there quite often. It's cute, but I'll go there. And the energy of harbors is actually an energy of abundance and prosperity. But it is also used to serve as help to banish things. Now, I'm talking to you about witchcraft, but if you actually Googled something like harbor or marine spirits, you will probably find over 100,000 religious websites, documents of religion trying to pray against the water spirits. Religion believes in it, and they want to destroy it, and they're actively trying to destroy the water spirits. So some of you might want to check that out. I'm shocked about it, actually. I was like, when I learned about that, I was like, oh my gosh. Okay. River banks, just sitting by the river and looking at it will actually increase your personal power. And in many magical practices, especially like Santeria or a lot of shamanism, people will give their offering to and on the banks of rivers, which I find is pretty awesome. So rivers are very powerful and cleansing. The other thing I wanted to go over was sun water. So everyone's heard of moon water. We can make moon water by having water charged. A lot of times I use a quartz crystal in it, in my moon water. And we can use moon water for calling things in. If we use waxing moon water, releasing things for waning moon water. We can use new moon water to end things or to set intentions. We can use full moon water for pretty much anything that we want to heighten, including ourselves. I love moon water baths. That's like huge for me. But sun water is actually pretty amazing. And sun water is used to encourage the energies that we need through our daily life. So it encourages and gives us strength. It recharges our willpower. It brings us positive energy and purification. So if you need more positive energy in your life, or you feel like it's been boring, like I just need to feel like something, try some sun water and see how it reacts to you as a medicine. Storm water is used for force. And we can use stone water for strength. We need more strength in our magic. We can use it for emotional strength and motivation. But most of the time, people use storm water to protect against curses. And the funny thing about that is people use storm water to create curses. So storm water a lot of times is used for both. It's like a spiritual battle. Okay. Now, some of you have trees and plants in your yard. So the first time you have a dew in your yard, that is a message that the fairies are there. So you have your natural, your nature spirits are now in your life to help you bring good energy, health, healing, love, and beauty. So watch for that first day you have dew, and it won't be the same for anyone. Okay. Let me see. So to make moon water or even sun water, I like to use glass. I always use glass. Sometimes I'll use copper. Copper is a good thing to use, or because of the copper is a amplifier. Or you can use a silver bowl. Traditionally, silver bowls were what were used. Or you can use an airtight jar or bottle or jug. But pretty much what you want to do is when you're making your moon water, you can put a crystal in it, and most people will add a tablespoon of salt. Okay, so if you add a tablespoon of salt, you want to make sure that you stir it clockwise. And as you're stirring it, pay attention. Look at it stirring. And you always want to make sure that you stir a minimum of 30 seconds. So I just stir and stir and stir until I don't see salt. Once your salt has disappeared, you actually do have a form of holy water. Now you want to take it out and let it go into the moon. Now, as long as it's there and it gets that moon's energy during the peak, it's good. But you do want to collect moon water before the sun goes up. Okay. So you can place any herbs in your moon water you want. Okay, so if you want to heal your emotions or you want to attract love, you can use hibiscus and put it in there. Rose is awesome. So this summer we have, if you're in New Brunswick, we have lots of wild rose. Go and collect it. Get drying it. Use it for your waters. But you want to fill the bowl with water. You can also make moon water in through a window. So if you are in an apartment and you can't really put it out there, just put it somewhere, if you have a table and the moon comes in, that'll be fine. The moon's energy goes through walls, just like spirits. Some people will also put it in water bottles so that they can drink it. Okay. Now, sun water is actually used to boost your energy, but also connect your sacred objects to the God energy. So sun water does represent the God. Some people will put on their altars sun water and moon water, and that is really cool. Let me see. I want to talk about some of the goddesses, because there's one that I like to work with, and I found her to be quite powerful. So I think that you'll be able to connect to her. But water goddesses are in all forms of water. Wherever there's water, there's a connection to the goddess. And it also represents creation. So when we're using water, we are creating something. It doesn't matter what you're using the water for. It becomes a personification of not just you, but also a connection to the underworld and the upper world. So remember, whenever we're using water and magic, we're also using it with the connection to the past and the dead. Okay. So one goddess, there's Aphrodite. Okay. So Aphrodite is associated with the ocean. She was known to be born out of the sea foam. And that's why we use her, we use that sea foam in our ceremony in the winter. And she represents love as well. But the one that I was thinking, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to think of I'm trying to for it to come. I'm just waiting for that to pop in. Sulis. So S-U-L-I-S or Sulis. However it feels comfortable for you to say. So Sulis. If you can say that 3 times. So let's grab some more water. So I hope you have another glass. If not, just grab your vessel. And we're going to put some more water in our hand. So right in your left hand. And I have quite a bit in there, like enough that I have a little puddle. So it's probably half a teaspoon. And hold it in there. And if you have droplets on your hand, that's magical too, because they move. Now hold your hand, look at the water, and the water is in the center of your palm. You'll probably see there's a Y there in your palm. You might have a Y from the crescent, or there's a line going through your water, maybe more than one. Now I want you to say this 3 times. First, we're going to say the name of the goddess, Sulis, 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 and just wait. You kind of want to take note on how you feel when you say that, because sometimes it feels maybe uncomfortable, or maybe you get a little nervous, or maybe it just doesn't feel like anything. But you have to trust that what you speak, something is happening. Yeah, you can use the same water for sure. Now I'm going to get you to say, remember the water dragon? I can totally feel my water right now. It's really cool. So let's go to the water dragon. And we're going to say, nail yawn. Nail yawn. Nail yawn. Just focus on your hand. Wow. And you may, hopefully, you want to feel some kind of change after you've said the 2 names. Now I want you to say your own name 3 times. And you can think it or say it. Georgina. 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 And feel your water. How many changes were you able to feel? Were you able to feel the water every time you changed the name? That's wicked. I got chills everywhere. So now you can pour your water in the one that has the candle. And after you pour it, take note on how it feels. Like I can barely feel my water. It's like it went right in. I'm just a little bit wet. So whenever we have dry mouth and we need a sip, that's also a call you need to connect with water. Okay. So banishing blocks, moon water we did. And whenever we want to heighten ourselves, so if you're doing intuitive work, you want to connect with that. And we did holy water, right? So that is water with salt, or you can go to a church and get some. I have the coolest holy water collection. I even have holy water from Lady Fatima, like where her visions were. So if people travel or if I've gone places, I always try to get a holy water. And bathing in it, I'm telling you, it was awesome. So it depends. If you go to an old church, you can get some holy water. There's nothing wrong with that. Some waters I would never touch. So there's some religions that would just like scare the hell out of me to have a sip of their water. But either way, the other thing I like to do is you can make little spell bottles with water in it. Okay, so this one, the broom, is also a symbol of water a lot of times. So this is a spell bottle I made for my bathroom. Whoops. I haven't shaken it for a while. And I put sparkles in it. I have a broom for protection, a seashell. Seashells are really magical, especially if you can hold them up and just listen. I even tried to make earphones where I could just have the two shells there and tap out. And it's amazing. You will hear communication if you try that. But you can make these and charge the water with whatever you want. And then I'll have my bath and I just watch it all fall and wait. Look, none of my sparkles are moving now. Ew, look how thick my water got in there. So I might need to make a new one because this is pretty thick water. So the thicker the water, the more spirit there is to it. Okay. So let's do that. Let's tap into the spirit of our house. So I want you to grab some more water. We're only going to use our blessing fingers at this time. But before you do, I want you to focus on your room, where you are. And when I focus, I usually go like this, and then I'll just kind of act like my brain power went all the way around the room. So I can know that I am connected. So connect to the room. Breathe 3 times. I always do it with my eyes closed. Grab your blessing fingers, dip it in your water. And feel it. First, you want to feel the temperature. It's all right if it goes down your arm. Feel the temperature. Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it comfortable? If it's comfortable, neither hot or cold, you've connected to the spirit of your home because it's neutral and it's comfortable. But it may be a little sticky. How sticky is it? That stickiness represents psychic debris. Psychic energy, spirit energy. So if I go into a house that needs cleansing and it's haunted, I'll do a water test. All I'll do is carry a cup of water all the way around the house. And then I'll put my fingers in and feel it. Now feel it now. Mine's really sticky. I'm a little concerned. I'm going to have to do a purification tonight because these babies are like really gooey. After we have emotional things happen, sometimes they'll get really sticky. So because it's sticky, I will be leaving a jug of water or a cup of water with some sea salt into my room tonight. There's too much psychic energy. It should feel silky and smooth. Okay? And if you're a channel, then you should check your water often because you'll have spirit energy. So that represents the spirit in your home. Now, if you felt the hot or the cold, then that means that you have support around you. And that is the most powerful spirit coming forward. So if you were going to go to a stranger's house and they say, I think my place is haunted, and you do that water test and it's hot or cold, you're going to know a spirit is present. If it's just neutral and they're dealing with negativity, it's probably built up stuff. So you want to just check. The temperature of the water is neutral. is it sticky? If it's neutral and sticky, yeah, there's some mental stuff. I usually know it's their own creation that's built up. I mean, our poor house energy. But now touch your hand all the way on the top of your hand, and you'll probably find it's nice and smooth right now. It's not sticky, right? Now, if that stickiness is still there, mine went smooth, so I know it's not too bad. Okay, so water is really cool because we can use it for anything. It's like a quartz crystal. We can use it for any type of magic that we want. Okay, and holy water is really cool. There's also a recipe that I'm going to send you guys, and it has to do with Florida water because it's really popular to use in magic, and it's really neat to make it yourself. But we use Florida water so that we're protected from anything and anyone that wants to bring us negative energy or to affect us in a negative way. So it's used for protection. And I like to make it with nails. I'll collect moss on a walk. And then I usually will have it all sitting in the bottle for a few weeks. And I usually make sure it passes the full moon and the new moon. And when I make war water, I'll make it before the new moon or the full moon, and then I let it go all the way to the new. And that's the cycle we're coming into. So I'll make sure that we have that. And it is something that is one awesome thing to use in magic. We can use it and sprinkle it across our porch or property. Even if there's a strong wind or something happening and you're worried, that will protect us. So it's used for emergencies. Imagine it as your emergency, whatever. When you hear about potions, those are all things that we'll make with herbs and water, as well as essential oils too. So water will keep things moving and keep things healing. I mean, there's a reason why baptism has to do with water, right? And before baptism, and scrying, right? Scrying comes from looking into the pond. So remember, seawater cleanses, banishes. It's good for abundance and healing. Try to collect all of these this summer. Have a little bottle. You can keep them in the fridge. Lake water is good for divination, relaxation, happiness and peace, right? River water, transformation, change, but also releasing things. So negativity or whatever. And in my culture, you know, they believe that if you release a spirit, you have to send it somewhere. And when I first got into like working with spirit, I had a hard time with that because I would have to, I would want to do a release and they would be like, so where are you going to send it? Well, at first I'd be thinking of the first person, right? And then I'm like, oh, I actually got, okay, so this is kind of a weird story, but I was in Mexico one time and we went into this place for a timeshare. And if you go to a timeshare meeting, they'll give you a bottle of tequila, they'll give you coupons for all of these places, but you usually can't get out of one unless you buy one. Well, I went to one with Brett and his parents are all like, you got to do this. You'll get $50. You'll get a bottle, all this stuff. And I'm like, I hate this. But I went and we were not going to buy a timeshare. There's no way. So we went through this whole meeting, 2 hours, saying no. And it got to the point where they brought in the hotel manager because we kept saying no and we wouldn't buy one. So the hotel manager came up, and when he came up from behind me. So I have a tattoo on my on my back. I got when I was like 21 of the high priestess, the triple moon, with a star in it, the sign of the goddess. It's a high priestess symbol when you become a high priestess. Sometimes that's tattooed. So anyway, I did that when I was 21. So I was sitting there and the guy came back and my husband's like, or the manager comes around and he's like really harping on us to buy this timeshare. And my husband loses it. And I just looked at him and I had my glass of water and I told him, I said, you know, if you don't let me go, this place will be haunted by the time I walk out. And he was so scared of me. He let us out like right away. Like I should have said that 2 hours ago, but I threatened to haunt his place. I know it was horrible of me, but I needed to get out and it worked. And they're very superstitious. So yeah, you can haunt places. So when that was taught to me, I was kind of, I felt like I was almost like hexing someone by sending that there. And then another teacher, another medicine woman I worked with told me, well, you know, you don't have to send it to a person, send it to the river, so give it to the earth. I don't do any of that. I banish them. I don't send it to people. I think it's horrible. Either way, we learn through our magic, right? There's a lot of times there'll be oops. There's a lot of times where we lose faith and we have more faith, but it is all magical. Linda sends them to my house. They're not always friendly. Exactly. So there you go, right? You can. I've had people send things to me. I know that. So I hope you enjoyed this so far. Let me make sure I didn't forget anything before we go. There is a few things I wanted to discuss that my drum just went off as soon as the ideas came to me. So when it comes to water element, think of the water element as the element of the heart. And so when the water element comes into our life, or when we are dry and we need to drink, or you know, we need to get rid of any type of emotional block, or we feel blocked or empty, that is a call of the water. When water comes into our life, it doesn't matter if you all of a sudden get water coming into your life 2 different times or it rains 3 days a week. There is something happening to you. And so the power of the water when it comes into your life, and I'm going to say when it comes into your life because you're just finishing this class, which means that when you walk from this class, water is going to connect with you in different ways. And you're going to feel that guidance and that connection and the serendipity and the enchantment with certain things that align with the water and what's happening to your life. So when the water first comes into your life, and I want you to witness this, it comes to you by a new feeling. So anytime you wake up or anytime you're doing your day and you get that a new feeling, that is the power of water. And it's triggering you because there is a spirituality and there's an intuition to it. Now, if we're in a negative place where we're focusing on something that is negative, or it's an emotional loss we're suffering from, or we have a blocked creativity, or we feel like there's an emptiness, that is also a call that you need to heal. So water is the one thing that we can use to heal ourselves because we program it. Now, once we get that new feeling, what happens is it's important for us to bring that feeling into fruition because that feeling has something tangible for you. It's either going to be a message that has to do with your future, or it has to do with a healing. So once that new feeling comes in, the next thing that comes is some kind of connection, or there's some kind of balance and unity that's taking place. And a lot of times that will trigger for our growth. But sometimes that energy comes because we're in a place of imbalance. So if we feel imbalanced, or if we have miscommunication or broken communication, or we're carrying tension, then the water is wanting, there is a call for you to tap and connect to water, whether it's a cup of tea or a bath or water magic, and saying, I need this, I'm using river water, I need to move forward, everything feels stagnant, and you put it on your altar, or you pour some in your vegetable water when you're cooking. You can do anything with water. But as you connect to grow, you will actually connect to a place of happiness. So once we seek that imbalance is broken, water brings us happiness. And whenever happiness comes about with water, it's usually because we've dealt with some type of overindulgence. Maybe there's gossip, or maybe we're isolating ourselves. So if we are isolating ourselves too much, the water will call you. And a lot of times we'll be like, we need to get out. It's a beautiful day. Okay. Or you just sit by your window because you have the most beautiful view. So water will also connect you and bring more happiness to you, or more connection. But if you're dealing with overindulgence in some way and you can't stop it, for me it's sugar and I can't have sugar, we have to use the water magic to help us with that. We can use a jug of water and speak into it thinking of a person, and they will get that message. And this water will become what we think of them, or what we want to think. So we can heal people and talk to their spirit with water. The power of water will also help us when we're in a place of contemplation, or if we feel disconnected. So anytime you feel disconnected to yourself, or you don't feel like you have the connection to the vision that you want, and it's like something is disconnected, make sure that you connect to water. And usually water will call us when we are experiencing loss, or if we're experiencing self-pity. It will want to move us forward. It wants us to find peace. Because the water in our body, the 63% water that we are, is our healing power. It is that perfect force of nature. And so when we hold our thoughts, that water becomes, and we send it out. Water also brings us memories. So whenever you have a memory of the past, whether it's good or bad, water magic is in play. Anytime we leave our house, every time you step out of your house to go somewhere, water magic is in play. Or if we need more independence, water magic we can use. But I like to use water magic when I'm searching for my purpose. And there's been many times in my life where I feel like my purpose has changed, because our purpose does change as we change. You know, we always think we have this one purpose. No way. Our purpose changes every year, right? So when we are searching for purpose or choices, or what should we do? Give me something I don't know. I just feel like I'm walking this path with this dangling carrot. That is a connection, water magic. Now, what I love to use water magic for is walking away from things. When I am done, when I want to leave something behind, I use water. And I will tell that water what I'm done with and pour it out. We can also use the power of water to call in luxury things, because we have so many ancestors around us, and they help us bring our wishes. Water carries our wishes. So we are either processing in a place of moving forward on our path, Maybe we're in the present, or maybe we're living in the past. But with water, we can connect all three. We can use it to connect to the past, the present, or the future. But it will always guide you to your inner happiness. That's all. That's all water cares about. It cares about your inner happiness, because when we're in a place of neutral power or joy, or in a like, yeah, focused manifestation, water can have the effect all over because it travels, right? So water is the state of being globally on a conscious level, but also independently. But it's connected to all realms because spirit is also water. They don't have a body. Our spirit is water. So as females, when it comes to water magic, it is important for us to master our heart, but also to master our channel. Speak that universal language, that what you're speaking has no judgment, but it has the guidance you need, right? Don't let things get in a place of disappointment. Call, be the dreamer, call the universe to help you. And trust that what you're experiencing is always for the best. And if something shitty happens, that's the call for water. I need healing, I need help. One thing about magic is that you learn about yourself, you learn about your connection, how it works. You might find one water works better. Some of you may be like natural water witches, and it's like, woo, I totally get it. I love all the waters. The whole rack in my fridge is going to have those waters. And that is awesome. So use this knowledge for yourself and others. And know that there is so much spirit to it. They're all beneficial. And every ocean, lake, and pond is purifying. And use the spirits I've introduced you to. So you have a water element spirit guide. Okay. So before I go, let's pull a card. Some of the things that I like to also, before I let you go, mirrors are huge for me. If you've been to my place, you see a mirror on every single wall. And in the native tradition, we wear a mirror to keep evil away. And so this represents water element. And I wear this when I'm a traditional woman dancer. So I hold the power of the circle at our ceremonies. And I'm considered to be one of the old ones. So I'm with all the old ones. It's okay, I love it. But sometimes, so I'll wear this, and when I do my dancing, I am banishing evil for everybody in the circle. So if you want, you can make jewelry. This is a pendant that I made. It's just leather on one side. I do beading, but you can make earrings with, I'm sure Michael's has little pieces of jewelry you could make a necklace for. If you find a broken mirror, make a piece of jewelry, right? So let's pick a card and see what we get. Water magic in your life. And while I do that, if anyone has any questions, unmute and ask. I did pretty good. It's 10:04. Okay. Let's see. What are we going to get, ladies? I have goosebumps. It's going to be good. What are we going to get? It won't come out. Stuck.
Georgina?
Yes?
How can we find out our water spirit? Like our own?
So what you'll want to do is just take note on what you experience next, as far as like Is it the river? Like where are you going to go? Where does the water come in the next very place? Okay. And you can also call it. What I would do is I would do the cup around the bed, because whenever we're communicating with new spirit or an elemental spirit or someone that we want to communicate on the other side, if you put a jug of water by your bed and you do the upside down triangle on it and then go around 3 times thinking, I want to meet my spirit guide tonight, come to me, then you will eventually dream of it. And I find that for me to call in my spirit guides or spirits that I work with, I always find that they enter the very first time in a dream. Same with people that pass. Many times, people will be in the state of grief while that spirit is around. But after 3 months, that spirit crosses. And that's when we'll go into a place where we feel something different, right? So now they become fully evolved. So when we call them, we can call them to us. And most of the time after we lose someone we love, the first interaction we receive is a dream from them. And when we get that dream, that's your opening. That's your portal of power. If you dreamt of someone on the other side, you can call them by saying their name 3 times and they'll be there. And so many of you have gotten readings with me, and you know that I tell you, say your name 3 times at a certain point. And when I make you state your name 3 times, spirit comes forward. So practice calling people you love that are on the spirit world. Practice calling gods and goddesses. You're not going to experience anything negative. It's impossible. Call, you know, the grandmother that you always wanted to meet, because they're around you. They're part of you. And whether we call them because they're in spirit or we call them and activate them in our DNA, it doesn't matter, because it's the same thing. Right? So when we do magic, we open that circle and we say, our ancestors, we call our ancestors for power and passion. We're activating that in our DNA, as well as calling them into our circle from wherever they are. It's pretty powerful stuff. And once I learned I wasn't alone in the world, that I had spirit around me, I started using them, because trust me, they want to help you. They want to interact with you, right? So the stay positive. Oh, and the card. Okay, so I forgot to tell you what we got. What do we do with the herbs? So you can put the herbs in the herbs. Duh. Thank you. See, I almost forgot an exercise. We cannot do the card yet. We have to do this. Okay, so grab, if your candle, has your candle gone out? Do you have another vessel of water? Okay. So grab the herbs. Thank you so much for reminding me. So just put a little bit of herbs. You can see I'm just going to grab a little sprinkle. So whenever I use herbs in my water, whether it's tea or a brew that I'm making, so sometimes in my cauldron, I will pour it with water. Say I want to do, I want to look more into my future, I will burn psychic herbs. I'll put it in there. And I will drink my psychic tea, but as well as burn it and let it boil in my cauldron. So my cauldron is used. I have a little platform that I sit it on, and I light a tea light, and it'll just heat up. So put your hand in your left hand, or put your herbs in your left hand. And I'm just going to go 3 times around it, touching them. So whenever we want to know something, we go clockwise. If you were going to use these herbs to banish something, you would go counterclockwise. And I only grab a little pinch. You never need much. Like just this little bit I have here is very powerful. So once you've charged it, I want you to go to your water that you have left and just sprinkle it, but make sure you can watch it when you sprinkle. So I'm going to just sprinkle it right into the top. So sprinkle it in. You want to see if it's floating and what direction it's going into. So where you are, so I'm going to hold up my jug that I'm putting this in. So this jug that's closest to my face here, this rim, represents the present. So I'm looking at my herbs right now. Whatever has fallen down represents things that are done with. Okay. Now, if it's fallen down and it's right in the center, like target, then those are things that are actually being created. But if your things on the bottom are out to the side, they're things that are done. Then you want to take a look at anything floating. If you have herbs floating right now, those represent things in the making now. So right now I look at mine and I see that there is one thing that's closest to me. So I know that I have something on its way. Because it's halfway, you look at the halfway mark of your bowl, whatever is halfway and closer to you is happening within the next 3 months. Whatever is halfway and further from you is happening in the next 6 months. Now, sometimes you'll get some symbols in there like a tea leaf reading. Tea leaf readings, if you were going to do a cup, and it's always from the bottom up for things to manifest, and then you would look for the symbols and stuff. But right now, as I look at it, I saw that from where I'm sitting, the herbs moved this side of me, which is facing the north. So I know right now the north element is where my healing is. So that's my body healing, my money healing, right? Anything physical that I'm focusing on is actually in play. So you do kind of want to know what direction you're facing. So if you're facing everything and it goes to the east, then that represents everything in play right now is materializing for your future. So what do you have in play that has to do with the future? And if your water is moving, then that's known as the spirit doing work on you. So if you're sitting there and I've been talking all this time and your herbs are still moving, that is spirit. So your water is magical right now. And are they clustered? Did your herbs cluster? Or are they separate? So clustering herbs represent more power involved in certain topics. If it's like spread and it's just like pepper, right? Like specks of pepper everywhere, then the energy is pretty good. Things are pretty spaced out. There isn't really a major topic at hand. So where is your cluster? Because if your cluster is facing east, it's new. If it's facing south, then it has to do with what you're meant to be doing right now. Destiny is at play in your present. Okay. And if it's west, then you know it's water and spirits. So from now on, for the next week, when you hold your glass of water, say thank you. Do that every time you drink water for a week. And some of you will take it and always do that. And that'll just be your #1 rule from now on. But if you do this for 1 week, you will notice a difference on how you physically feel, how you emotionally feel, and even your spirit, your guidance. So you don't want to dehydrate your psychic powers. Like I said, drink the water until you have that 8 glasses and you know you're in full attunement, right? So the cup that I got, so that was to see where your water magic is lying. So what element, what is in place? Earth, tangible things, fire, destiny, right? Which is south, east and air, future, and where you're headed. West and water is past. Okay. The other thing you can do is when you visit the water and there's waves, learn how to call the wave and stop the wave. Keep the wave from pushing. Ask for a giant wave and see how long it takes to come. So play with the waves. You can even whistle and call the waves. Oh my gosh, I got distant thunder, clear the air. So even though your candle goes out, leave your water to purify. And I know you 3 are doing yours together there. So you can either take your water home or just leave it there. But it would be interesting to purify in your home. Or just charge it and then do it, right? And see. So this shows thunder is something that's very powerful too. That's one thing that runs in my family is a lot of my native family all have Thunderbird names. So there's the blue Thunderbird lady and everyone's got Thunderbird. I'm Thunderfoot. They all got Thunderbird. I got Thunderfoot. And it's because, I think it's because when they get really mad, people can just like feel it like thunder, but it doesn't happen too often. But thunder is very sacred. When you hear thunder, it means that we're being cleansed out from the inside. So when the thunder gods strike, we're being purified. And traditionally, in my background, if we hear the thunder, we light our peace pipes. Because when we light our peace pipes and we take a puff from it, that means that the universe is cleansing us from the inside out, and there's something that needs to be cleansed. Just like when we do a peace pipe ceremony, we do it because we may have anger for something, but we don't understand where the anger comes from. The universe does. So our peace pipe ceremony, and when we smoke the peace pipe, is to get rid of the stuff we don't understand. It's a cleaning out. So when the thunder comes, it's like we are being cleansed. Wear that peace pipe. Clear it. Wake up in peace the next day. I usually turn on some AC/DC when I hear it, crank it as loud as I can, right? Thunder. And then I light up my peace pipe, and that's my party. Couple puffs, clean me out, and that's it. So when the thunder comes, listen to it and let yourself know that you're healing. Any blue stones you can also use for water element. Aquamarine, topaz, angelite. If you find a blue stone on the beach, you can use that. Okay. And that's about it, I think. One of the other things I always like to use is the sea beans. You'll see these sea beans, they got little specks. So we use these because they're found floating in the ocean. They fall from South America or the Amazons. So they're found, shamans find them floating, and then they collect them. So I usually get I usually get a little jar full once a year. But we use these to look into, and the sea bean will tell you what your animal spirit is. So anyone that's around me, if I look at this, I'll get a different animal for a different person. And if you ever find anything around the sea, so even a stone with specks or a shell with specks, you will be able to see people's animal totem. It doesn't just have to be the sea bean. So watch for speckled things around the water, okay, when you're at the beach. Heartstones are talismans and a promise of healing. So those are always fun to look for. White stones around the beach will bring purification. And I usually once a year make sure I collect a dark stone and a white stone together, and I use that for balancing and meditation. And when I use the dark and the white together, it actually, and close my eyes, it will actually make you feel like you're floating. Okay? White in the left, black in the right. So with that, I am done. Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you for joining me tonight. I'll get this ready for your upload. Probably be tomorrow, and I'll send it off to you, okay? I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope that you look at water like it is a spirit and use it for your benefit. I'm glad you liked it. Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night. Many blessings. Bye-bye.
Bye.